Love. Okay, got it. Oh, it says we're live. Make this bigger. Oh, there we go. Hello, good morning, happy Thursday. It's lovely to see you all. Or I can't see you. So if you're here, please let me know you're here. I get lonesome on these lives by myself and nobody talks to me. So I was just in Belize. My husband and I went there for our honeymoon. We were there for 10, 12, 11 or 12 days. We got stuck in Belize, which was awesome. Although getting stuck anywhere, just so you know, even getting stuck in paradise after a while is like, okay, I'm ready to go home. But anyway, we got stuck there because of the weather in Texas and the problems it caused there. And so that wasn't so bad. Although it was really crazy because the weather, that front actually ran through Belize, which it was raining and overcast, was warm, so it wasn't really that offensive. But it was not normal for them. They were freezing. They all had sweaters on. Colin and I were still walking around in our tank tops and swimsuits and whatever. We were in the hot tub. It's lovely. Oh, here's Shelly's note right here that I just asked about. Yes. So anyway, we had a great time. I'll have to post some pictures on the page. It was amazing. If you want to know more about Belize, if you've always wondered if you should go there or not, because everything online talks about how scary it is there and dangerous, and it's not scary and dangerous. It's fine. It's better than fine. It's amazing. Maybe they actually put that out there so people don't come to Belize. Being from South Dakota right now, when the whole world's trying to come here, I can really appreciate that. So anyway, if you want to know about Belize, look me up. I can tell you all about it. Okay, Rachel is gone this week because her amazing Cappy took her on a little getaway to places unknown by her request. She wanted a vacation planned for her that she didn't have to be in charge of any of the logistics or even knowing where it was, which I think she was just, like that part really probably drove her nuts, and she was trying to be super chill about it because Rachel loves to be in control of what's happening in her life. Okay, so she's not here with me. I'm by myself. Project Management Training Camp, March 8th through the 12th. Shelly is going to put the link in the comments. You can go to our website. You can email Rachel. You can email Shelly to sign up for this, however you want to get to it. If you've thought to yourself, I don't need project management training because I'm not a project manager, you're wrong. So really, this training, it's about true project management, but it's so applicable in so many different ways, especially since there's a lot of change going on for the whole world right now. It's really a lot about organizational change management and how you think about change. So highly recommend you check it out. See, there's 2 parts. You can go to one or both parts. And so it's definitely worth checking into. Shelly's going to put the link in the comments, I think. I'm not. Oh, yeah, see, then she did it. It's like magic. Okay. Weekly quote. It's not at all about you. So not only is it not about you, it's actually not at all about you. And this has to do with, I say this to my kids a lot in a different context, the one that we mostly know it in. But really, what we are talking about in the book is that when somebody's frustrated or cranky or snotty to you, a lot of times it's not about you. It's about something. Oh, that link didn't work. 301 moved permanently. I'm sure you're listening to me, Shelly. There's a weird message in the comments about whatever link you just posted. Anyway, it's not all about you. Usually it has something to do with something else that's bothering that person. And knowing that really is a favor to yourself, and knowing that you can give them some grace because they have something going on in their life that you probably don't know anything about, or you might know something about, but it's not really your business, or they kind of are trying to deal with it on their own. And sometimes some of those irritations or frustrations sort of spring up in places we don't want them to. So anyway, it's not at all about you in most cases when people are being cranky. And the nice thing to do is to ask them a question about it. Like, hey, are you okay? You're acting a little different today. Or how are things at home? Or did you have a good morning? Or would you like a coffee? All those questions help people, at least if even if they don't engage with you, don't take that personally. They know you care about them. Because remember, it's not about you. Okay, weekly writing prompt. What is currently not helping you and needs to be removed from your to-do list? What is currently not helping you and needs to be removed from your to-do list? This is interesting that this is Shelley's weekly writing prompt, because I actually, without saying anything to her or anyone else, was recently thinking about this myself, probably because I had 12 days to think about everything and I could ever want. But I was thinking about, we're planning on buying some land and building a shop and then building a house. And this seems like this would be the best way to do it. The land, shop, house. And then recently I've been thinking, well, I kind of have gotten myself tied to that idea that we have to do it in that order, but maybe we don't. And so what happens for me, I suppose, because I'm super self-driven and stubborn, once I get an idea in my head, I think that's the way it has to be. And even if it doesn't serve me anymore, I still think that's the way it's supposed to be. So I find myself, Rachel's very good at pointing this out to me, I find myself like feeling super anxious about decisions I've made about things that I think are best for me or my family, or our business, I guess. And then, she or someone will be like, why are you so stressed out about this? Or, why are you doing this if it's making your life so much harder? So anyway, it's definitely worth considering, what things are you really, really, really trying hard to do, or really, really worried about or thinking about that frankly just aren't things that you are serving you. Another example, and this is an example for, my team-driven friends, being worried about what somebody else is thinking or feeling, whether it's about you or some other stressor in their life. It's not too hard, even if you're self-driven. So imagine if you're team-driven, it's kind of crippling. But it's pretty easy to get caught up or like worried about someone else so much that you worry about them, and it's like using up brain space, or it's using up emotional capacity that you then can't give to your family or your work family or your job or whatever. So be mindful of those things too. It might not be physical things. It might actually be emotional things that you're donating energy to. Okay. IX Leadership member questions. How do I create more and maintain trust with my team now that we are permanently staying remote? Well, I think the first thing I suppose to be thinking about with the permanently staying remote part is, just because you're permanently remote with work doesn't mean you couldn't still meet up with those people, right? Like if some assumptions would be everyone or some of the people are comfortable to meet up somewhere, maybe you socially distance appropriately, but there are people who are probably still like, oh my God, I just need to see other humans. And whether you meet up for work or not probably doesn't matter. So just because work says, hey, we're not going to lease this building anymore, or we're going to hotel, I just learned this term yesterday, we're going to do hoteling, which is basically shared workspace. So, Meg's in this space for 2 days, and then she leaves and goes to work from home, and then Shelly comes in and works for 2 days. And so even if the work says you're not going to see these people anymore, it doesn't mean you can't see them anymore. And that helps, just saying like, hey guys, Let's meet up at a local coffee shop, or let's all meet at a park if it's a nice day, like not today in South Dakota, but let's all meet up somewhere, or meet up with people on a one-on-one basis if your team's not yet comfortable with, meeting in a group. So I think with the vaccines coming, and the case numbers dipping down a little bit, if people become more comfortable with going out, then take advantage of that and don't just fall victim to, well, we can't go to the office anymore, so I guess I'll never see you guys again. That's silly. Don't do that. Then I guess, how other ways to create trust. Really, communication. We have a client right now where this is like the topic of the day all the time with that group. Trust, 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 trust. How do we build trust? And what they're discovering as they're really focusing on this topic of trust and building accountability is that communication is their number one tool to building trust with each other. And that just knowing that they're all on the same team. Another thing you can do is build, I guess, sort of an elevator speech, or an elevator pitch is what they call it. Like a 15-second, this is who we are no matter what. So if you can find, and this is going to sound bad, but it's me, so you know to expect it. If you can kind of find a common, maybe enemy is not the right word, a common problem to focus on, or a common challenge, that's an instant way to build trust. So if your employee group is just, they can't stop talking about politics, right? So that's a common challenge that your whole leadership team can focus on. So then getting all on the same page about, okay, we're going to put together an elevator pitch about how we're going to communicate in the workplace, and that we're not going to talk politics, and we're all going to be on the same page about this no matter what, then that builds automatic trust. So finding a common challenge to address might be growth for the business, might be, employee gossip. It could be some big project that you have coming up. But sort of putting a stake in the ground about, this is where we are as a team, this is how we're going to stay there together, is a good way to build trust. One last thing I would say, share stories with each other, right? There's no better way to communicate that you understand someone's situation than to share your own story about a time when you lived through that kind of a situation. So, history doesn't lie. The whole history lesson on politics that just went through my head, but history doesn't lie, and they say that history has been shared over the years, especially in very, very early on, through stories. And stories create trust. Like, we trust that history is what it is, right? You can challenge lots of different pieces of history, of course, but we sort of have to almost believe it because there isn't anything that says it's not true. Same with your own stories, right? So it creates a connection between you and the person you're talking to, and also it gives them something to believe, something to trust, as opposed to nothing. That's an easier concept probably for people who are maybe more team-driven or a little more chaos-tolerant. People who are more self-driven and more order-tolerant, maybe organizers, like, who wants to share stories and I don't want to listen to yours, so I'm definitely not telling you mine. That's a little less fun of an activity. But if you can feel comfortable sharing some stories or asking people for their stories, you build trust with people. Okay, I'm a nursing supervisor in a pediatric unit. We had a tough month and lost several patients. My team needs more training on how to handle trauma and what is the best way to request this from our leadership team. How to handle trauma. What is the best way to request this from our leadership team? Well, first, sorry. That is really horrible for you to have to go through and watch the families go through. And I could never do your job, so thank you for doing your job. Secondly, what's the best way to request this from our leadership team? So here's my trick for safety. When I was in the mining industry, if you wanted to convey, if you want to convey something to someone who thinks, okay, whatever, So safety in the mining industry was like, it's very important because supervisors said it was important, and the boss did, and the company did, and if you didn't obey it, then you got fired, right? If you didn't obey safety policies, you got fired. But we wanted people to own it. We wanted them to understand that it was the best thing for them, not because we said so, but because they believed it. So same principles go for trying to communicate or convey that you need this training to, conveying that to your leadership team. They need to understand it for themselves why it's important. This is a little bit of a dirty trick, I'm going to tell you, but it works. So what I did at a training one time is I went online and I found news articles and pictures of gentlemen who had, people who had died in mining accidents. And I put the picture of them like happy whatever with their friends and family, and then their obituary picture next to each other on the PowerPoint presentation when I did the safety presentation for our guys in the mine. And I said, do you know this person? And some of them did. So some of them, it was a guy, they knew him because they had worked in the same mines. Mining is a relatively small industry. So they did know him, and so they said his name, and I'm like, yeah, and how is that person today? Oh, well, he's passed away. Oh, yeah? How'd that happen? Well, he was in an accident. Oh, yeah? Does he have kids? Does he have a wife? Does he have a girlfriend? Does he have family? Yeah, he did, or no, he didn't, or blah, 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 whatever. Then you just be quiet, and you let them think about it, right? And it was, I didn't even have to do much during the presentation because the pictures and the first few, hey, do you know who this is, spoke for themselves. So in your case, I mean, maybe it's that you show them pictures of the parents of the babies who have passed away. Just can get on Facebook and find them. I mean, as long as it's not a HIPAA violation, perhaps it would be. So, like, I'm not encouraging you to break the law or the rules of your hospital or your clinic that you work for. But, maybe showing them some pictures and saying, I had to tell these people that their baby died. This is not what I do for a living. I don't know how to communicate that. I know how to keep something alive. I don't know how to communicate about it dying. So I think really making it personal and saying to your leadership people, what if this was you? What if this was you and your baby had died and the nurse did a really poor job of explaining to you what happened? And then what if 3 days later, 4 days later, 6 days later, you found out that nurse took her own life because she felt so badly about not doing a good job conveying that message? Then how would you feel as a parent? Your baby just died and the nurse killed herself. So like I said, it's not a very nice way to communicate it, but it is a very real way to say, oh, listen, we need support in this area, and I need you to internalize why that's important. So that's what I would do. Otherwise, if you want to just keep begging, you could do that too and see if it works. It's probably not going to. Okay, now that was a really, that had a lot of bad juju with it. Let's take that, throw it over here. Okay, so let's do some good news. Woo, some good news. I don't have a sign in here. Peyton's drawings kind of have the same colors as our Some Good News sign, probably because Peyton colored the Some Good News sign. So you can look at that and imagine it's the Some Good News sign. So there was a Texas family that spent 12 hours in a car with their dog so she could give birth in the warmth. So they adopted this dog, and she was going to have puppies. And the power went out in Texas, as you all know, and they started off in the bathroom. So it was like 50 degrees in their bathroom or in their house or whatever. So she was okay, but of course if the puppies are born and it's too cold, then, they just freeze and die. So that wasn't working. They ran the shower for a while, so it'd be warm and sort of steamy in there. They were like heating up water and putting it in bags and putting it in there to keep it warm in the bathroom, and that wasn't working. It was too cold. So then they took her out to the car. She'd had a couple puppies in the bathroom, so then they relocated she and the puppies out to the car, and she had the rest of the puppies in the car. And she ended up having 7 puppies. And their house they still didn't have any electricity or any heat when she was done having the puppies, and it was then too cold even for their family to be in the house. So they went like 45 minutes away to some family and stayed with them because they had power. So the dog is fine, alive, and well, and so are the puppies, and so is the family. And so they rescued all those puppies from the cold, which is awesome. Okay, so that was some good news. And I think that's pretty much it. All right, well, you are done with me for the day, or I'm done with you for the day. I will find some pictures to post from Belize. I mean, I posted some on my personal Facebook page, but I'll put some in this page as well. As always, if you need to get a hold of us, if you have questions, please reach out in any of the 70 million ways you can find us. If you have questions you would like for us to address on the lives, then you can send them to Shelly or in the whatever, on the messenger, whatever. Put them wherever you want. Send them to Shelly somehow, and she'll make sure that they get in our IX member questions. Seriously, we love answering those questions because they're like real life questions about people who are listening, and we care about you. So that is absolutely my favorite part of our lives. So please send us your questions. We love to answer them. Okay, have a wonderful rest of your week, wonderful rest of your day, and we'll talk to you next week. Until then, lead powerfully, change the world.